How's it going, guys? I'm Danny, and this week I have everything you need to know about footwork level 2. This is an in-depth look into the pros' footwork and their lower body in general, and how they incorporate power, balance, and control into their shot. Now, some of my other videos have been more beginner focused, more tips and tricks and ideas on how to fix your form. The idea behind this video is to point out what the pros are doing, so when looking at your own form, you can get an idea of what you're doing wrong. Let me know in the comments what you think of this type of video. I like to think it's more advanced focused rather than beginner focused. And that's all I have from me talking to a camera, so I guess I'll throw it over to the slow-mo. Alright guys, so the first thing here that I want to point out is their body positioning and their balance throughout the entire throw. The first thing I want to look at is their weight. Their weight is forward over their toes, and in some points their heels are off the ground. This means the muscles in their legs are better engaged and are more powering the shot, and they're also more balanced and more grounded. It's going to be a more repeatable action. Also, look, they're bent at their waist. They're leaning forward over their toes. I would guess their nose is probably 6 inches or so in front of their toes. And this is going to make sure that they're in that good athletic position and their legs are powering the shot. All right, so restarting the video, I'm going to move on to my next screenshot, which is their X step here. The first thing I want to point out is how small the X step is. And that's because their goal is to keep their hips aligned with the target for as long as possible. This is for accuracy and consistency, and it makes timing the hips a lot easier later in the throw. Also, look at their actual foot. With the exception of Will in the top left, their feet are sideways. This is another thing that helps keep the hips aligned with the target. I'm not going to say Will's doing it wrong because he throws really far, but it's a lot easier to keep the hips aligned with the target and maintain accuracy and power with keeping this left foot sideways. All right, moving on to this last step here, you can see this is when they're actually turning their hips away from the target just a little bit, and they're loading them. They're reaching their front foot forward, and I like to turn mine a little bit away from the target. That helps me load my hips more naturally, but they're just keeping it at that sideways angle, but still turning their hips away. Also notice that they're planting their left foot a little bit to the left of their right foot. So they're reaching forward and over a little bit to the left. This also makes it easier to brace into the shot and makes it easier to feel the action coming out of the hips. You can also notice that in this part of the throw, they're staying balanced. Their spine is mostly vertical. It's leaned forward over their toes, like I said earlier, but from side to side, the spine is upright. Their reach back is more rotational and not leaning backwards. That's really key. So moving on to this last point, rather than a screenshot, I've got kind of a loop, and it's the shot from this point forward looped about 7 or 8 times. And the things I want to pay attention to for this loop are the hips and how they turn and how they power the shot. And also their weight shift. See how they're pushing off of the left foot onto the right foot, but they're not moving over their right foot. They're keeping their weight behind that foot and transferring that forward momentum into the shot. They're pushing so hard off their left leg that it's actually lifting off the ground, and the force moving forward into their right leg is enough to keep them upright. And then at the end of the shot, you can see they have no extra energy. They've transferred it all into the disc. They're able to just stand upright on that right foot. That is the ultimate goal for like an 80% power control shot, is to be able to stand on the right foot when the shot's over. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video. Next week, my video is another side-by-side pro versus am form comparison, and Bobby over at Dynamic Disc hooked me up with some awesome slow-mo footage of Paige Pierce. Make sure you subscribe and stay tuned to see that coming. And until next time guys, remember, slow is smooth and smooth is far.